you lose the stream.
Shit. Oh.
Yeah.
Makes,
So
makes sense.
yeah, so we can. I've just restarted the stream again on One Man's channel as well. But of course, those people have gone to sleep. But it's fine.
The law, have fun about.
I did, my brother. I wanted to.
Is that Oh, surprise me.
No, I just wanted to. What I do most time is I listen to. If I missed a session, then in the morning like this, before around that noon, I try to listen to it. So I wanted to do that, and I realized these guys are still live. They are not. They're not even sleeping. So I said, okay, let me just. I saw two Nigerians. I said, okay. Let me just.
Can I ask you a question, my brother? My name is Dr. K. You are Ogben Nicole. Yeah?
Lawyer. He's a lawyer. Address him properly. Barrister.
Okay, my barrister Ogben Nicole. Yeah, shout out to you. Yes, I'll give respect to the Africans who can reach it. So, my brother, are you a Jagpa?
It depends on what you mean by Japa. Before Japa generation,
You didn't take the boat to take a plane.
No.
You know,
he's of the Tokumbo generation. Those ones, those ones left in the 70s.
The Japa thing came like maybe around 2 years or 3 years ago. So, but I've been in UK before then. So
okay. I used to be in the UK as well before I left. The place was too poor for me. I used to live in Reading and Bracknell and London and also Wales, Swansea. Those are my places.
Oh, I stay in Scotland.
Scotland. Okay. I used to be in Edinburgh.
Are you pro Free Scotland from the UK, like the breakup thing? Are you for that, or you just believe that should be part of the UK still?
Well, I don't support that independence move they are making because main reason why I don't support is because I appreciate that supporting me, but as an immigrant here, I don't support because I know what Scottish are capable of doing to the immigrant, particularly African immigrant, if they have independence, away from the UK. It won't really all go that way, for Black immigrants. So I know they are more pro-EU, so they love their brothers from Eastern Europe, the Romanian, all these guys, Portuguese, Poland, and all those guys. They rate them above Black immigrants. So before Brexit, we knew what they were doing to us as Black immigrants in Scotland. You have those ones, even as uneducated as the Romanians and could be, and then the language barrier, they speak English, this, yet they still rate them above Africans. They would rather promote them than to promote you. But Brexit actually paved a way for Africans to be able to, because Brexit, many Europeans went back home, like Germans, French, those guys, those guys, they're loyal to their country and they will never drop their passport for any other. So they wanted them to drop their passport. Then you embrace UK passport if you want to stay. If you don't want, then you can go. So many of them said, no, I would rather go back to Germany, France, and in the real sense is even those countries are far away technologically advanced more than UK. So many of them left, the Polish, French, Germans, and others, they all left. So we have the opportunity, and that's what makes some of us to be able to probably cling into maybe HOD of this department and that, which you would rather not even dream of before. So getting independence, we invite EU back into that space. And so I'm talking from a Black immigrant perspective. I'm not supporting it.
And now, without the support of the UK, it will be worse because now they will favor them more than the Blacks.
Yeah. The Black immigrant.
Remember also what people always forget is this. When I was in the UK, I was there during Brexit, right? For me, what happens with Black people sometimes, they project themselves in issue that has nothing to do with them. Why people want to leave Europe? They're not leaving Africa. Why are you so worried? They're leaving Europe, another white person. And you guys are scared. But reality is this, right? Now they have to go back to the Commonwealth, India, Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, to start finding workers there. So actually, for Africans, this is better. But because of the fear that this population have, they thought is racist. Yes, it's xenophobic, but not racist. They just didn't want to be part of Europe with people making rules for them and laws from unelected officials somewhere in Brussels. That was the issue. Why are we bringing ourselves in the problem that is nothing to do with us? I never understood it.
Let me give another example of where you see our people. I don't know the way we think sometimes. The kind of sensationalism, the sentiment we probably brought from our country is affecting us too. Yeah. We're not deep thinkers. Don't let me say not all of us, Many Africans are not really deep thinkers. We don't strategize and think about, okay, how will a policy affect you? Look at the last election. Many Africans, particularly Nigerians, Kenyans, Zimbabweans, Ghanaians, South Africans, who are the ones that are so many in the UK. Many of them, oh no, conservative must go, it's Labour, it's da. So okay, let's sit down and analyze this thing. Okay, is it conservative should go, fine, Labour should come. What are the policies that favors African immigrants in terms of these Labour guys? They say, oh, because they are pro-immigrants, they are this. I say, okay, what do you mean by pro-immigrant? Now, if you're talking about, because conservatives have been actually hammering more on people crossing to UK through
point-based system. The conservative point-based system.
Yeah.
If you have something still, come.
Yes, you surely get and come. Now, the people they are camping on, they are mostly not Africans. Go and check them. Those guys that are crossing boats are not really Africans. These guys are. That's the issue. These guys are. You see, let me tell you, if you want to see legal immigrants in the UK, Africans are more. We come here legally. Africans don't. There are few Africans that come illegally into the country. Africans come, they use education most times to come over here. They use and people that are climbing out actually after is just people. If you come legally and you now overstay, you're now seeking asylum, you don't fall in that bracket because you came in legally, right? Now, if you're still within legally, you're not the one they are really after, except close to the election when they started, because don't just want immigrants, so they want to have some harsh policy, which everybody knew. If you follow the pattern in the UK, after the election, they start relaxing all these things back because they know the economy cannot survive without him. We're not deep in our thinking to think that, look, these people are really after are not African in the real sense. They are the Arabs, the Syrians, and all these guys that will come here, Indians and all these guys that will come through both, enter their country, and they're trying to push back. Then another thing, okay, where are they pushing them back to? Rwanda? You say Rwanda is not part of Africa? It's harder to the economy of Africa.
But let's be honest.
So, but
they themselves are the one who create chaos in those countries. You understand me? Sometimes the West always involve themselves in matter that doesn't concern them. If they practice Sharia in their country, allow them to be. Leave people alone. They normally go, they cause problem in the country. Then, of course, people will start migrating. What do you expect?
So the EU is this. The problems Africans, another thing we like shifting our blames on anything outside our boundaries. We'll say, oh, colonialism is still what is affecting Nigeria today. Oh, Kenya is suffering from this today.
Yeah.
Oh, the Mau Mau rebellion was this and that. We like that a lot in Africa. That's what I've observed. But when exactly are we going to take responsibility for our own faults? See, slavery thing, I try my best to analyze this slavery thing. I said, look, slavery was the order of the day back then. Some empires used that to expand their empires and also to bring economical, advancement for themselves. And post-slavery space, colonialism came in. It became a major issue for the day. And some people used it also, to enjoy themselves and expand, cause economic expansion. After that, then we start having countries having trade Sorry, guys. Let me attend to that. All right.
Well, I don't know much about British politics. I mean, I'll pay attention. The only issue I had with the whole thing was the comedian from Nigeria, Obedience. I mean, not him, but his fans, his followers, claiming victory that it was because of his tweet and support for Labour UK that they won the elections. That it was the galvanizing force that changed the course of history, and his support for the new prime minister was what galvanized the voters in the UK. So that's the only thing I know. I mean, that I found funny but that's pretty much it. But I don't really care too much about the UK, to be honest. I don't.
I think the mistake the Conservative Party in the UK made is that they would have picked Sunak earlier. Maybe if they'd have picked Sunak over Boris Johnson, he would have been able to steer them in a good direction. Boris Johnson was a disaster.
But I heard, I can't confirm that the blacks didn't like Sunak. They felt like perhaps maybe he had some racist tendencies, something. Those I've spoken to in the UK. They didn't
generally Indian people are very actually way more racist than white people. That's the reality, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Let me give you an example, right? At some point I used to do pharmaceutical science, and I was applying for some pharmaceutical jobs. And I got through everything. I got the interview. Everything was good, but they gave the job to the Indian person, and I searched them up. I looked at their qualifications. I had better degrees and everything. And it's more than that. It's just what the Indian population do is that they control certain key sectors of economy in whichever country that they're in, and they employ their cousins and their friends. So honestly, like, if black people need to stop doing this whole black and brown unity, you need to use your leverage as black people and align with whatever is benefiting you from the central government. That's what we need to be focusing on. This whole, black brown unity, it doesn't work, because I've seen these numbers, and it's happened to me, right? A lot of these people just don't really care about us, and which is fine, it's their right, but therefore we need to now leverage things to our own well-being. Otherwise we're just going to end up being caught up in these situations that just don't make sense for us.
And Nigeria first, by the way. Congrats on the new Badagry to Sokoto Road, by the way. I saw the design today. Looks amazing. Yeah.
What's happening to that project? Have they started?
Yeah, they inaugurated. I think it was yesterday. It was inaugurated yesterday.
Oh, they finished it already, or they just...
No. They launched. Sorry, no. It was launched. The minister.
I'm skeptical about that project. Seriously.
Really?
Yeah, it's just recently I started thinking about it, because I just think we should tackle the issue of insecurity first before embarking on that.
That rap is very, once it gets to before Kogi, I'm starting to have doubts. I might just stop there.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I want to drive further up, but I get you.
Because that project is going to open southern space, like southwest space, like Lagos, to a lot of to more people migrating down to Lagos easily.
Mm-hmm.
And Lagos is going to be more populated. And how ready is Lagos to curb the marauders from the Sahel? You now have them.
It also opens up a state, though, because if you look at the whole, and because now it also opens Lagos to the south too, that we're coming in.
Yes.
And you have the western thing also coming from the border. So Lagos is going to be 40, like they said, 40 million will not. I'm telling you, 40 million will be inheriting Lagos in the next 30 years.
One of the reasons why you see the West sometimes protecting their boundaries is because they don't want that demography to just suddenly change and then affect, the polity and everything within the space. And now, when you open Lagos completely to People just start migrating and you can't control. How do you control? It's just
I'm sorry to say that is inevitable.
It is, but I just think we should put this security thing ahead of that massive project. If we are able to do a good pushback on because when you look at it globally, you see the major issue, this insecurity is bigger than the way we see it sometimes. It's the marauders from Sahel coming down to the rainforest. That's clear from every historical book. They're coming down, they're pushing.
Pushing. I'm even glad you're here. We now have a livestock ministry now.
Yes, I know.
So, I mean, I didn't even think about it until I brought it up. That there's a political angle to that, to compensate the, you know what I mean. I don't want to harassment. And if they have a ministry and they have a road network, wouldn't even? I don't think that is a good development for the West, in my opinion, because they have access to lands now. They can transport. They can move. So what do you think about that? So just to buttress your point, what do you think about that bill to even give them a ministry? Are you in support of it or?
No, I didn't support it. I was on one man show two days ago, and I expressed my opinion on that. I see no reason. I think it should just be a commission like NDDC, or they may want to refer to the fact that over time also, Obasanjo created NDDC, Yar'Adua came and created Ministry of Niger Delta, and today they are functioning. So my question is, to what extent have they solved the problem that we were, battling with before? Yes, Ministry of Niger Delta maybe to a great extent, but NDDC, rubbish, failure, can't really pick anything from them. So now when you have Ministry of Livestock and you are focusing on, me generally, I don't think you should focus only on cow, cattle. I think there are other things that are livestock, aquaculture, those things are part of livestock, where the southern part also can, gain from aquaculture, those things, poultry and all sorts. They are all under. But if we're going to narrow it on cattle, cow, I don't know. For me, I just think it should be an office under Ministry of Agri.
Guys, let me quickly pass this breaking news. The Supreme Court have affirmed the federal government court case. They said the local government, federal government will pay money directly to local government.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's a good one for the people.
Fantastic. That nails that put an end
to the drama.
That Tinubu tried to fight very long years. I think it's a good news for Nigeria, and I think the next thing they need to if that is
hello, seems your
what happened to Ogbeni's?
Yes, his network is shaking.
I was grabbing some fruits. Because did you just say that they won the case?
Yes, Supreme Court ruled in favor of a local government to receive their money directly from federal government.
Thank God, finally.
Yeah. Let me send congratulations to one of my friends who is a local government.
I know some people that are actually waiting for, like they want to contest for local government chairmanship, but I don't know who still has the power to conduct elections at that local level. It's still for state government, right? For now.
For now, yes, but I think they should allow INEC conduct this election, not a governor. I think that's another case that should be pushed to Supreme Court also. So let Supreme Court rule on that also.
Yeah, we need, because if they can get their own funding and they can have independent body like INEC, I think our focus will be more on our local government council, not federal or state government. Sorry, Ogbeni, you're back. Sorry, your thing went off.
Yes, I'm back. I'm one of those who believe so much in this local government thing, and I think it's a win for now for Tinubu government. And like I said, it nails the nonsense that Obasanjo brought to our space in 1999, where the Adebayo Adeni and all others, or Dili and others, created what they call JAG, whereby federal government will be paying directly into JAG. State governor would, whatever they like, they put in the hands of the local government. Now you pay directly to the local government, which is fine. We'll be able to face our local governments. Everybody now knows that politics is local, development is local. You face your local government to monitor whatever is going to that space and what development are they doing. And I now said the next step the Tinubu government needs to do now is to find a way to do a reform or amendment to the law that creates SEC. That is state INEC. That SEC is another problem. Why am I saying this? Now, you know, they say who pays the pirate detective too. Now, the governors would just go back to appointments of local government. That's what they will just go back to. We know at a point in time in this country where governors will want to appoint some sole administrators to local government. In fact, they won't even conduct election to local government. That's what they like doing. So what they do is, if their predecessor have some local government chairman, the moment they get there, they sack them. Look at Abia, for instance. Now, Abia, local governments in Abia, they don't even have chairman. They said they are what they call mayor. I don't know where he got that one from the constitution. He put mayors there and called them mayors, and they are all appointees of the governor. So and many of all these governors, they usually have all these things like some shady covenant with all these their appointees and others. Once you are not elected, their appointees, they have all these shady covenant, these they are useless spirituality thing. So eventually, the money may still be going to the local governments and then route it back to the governors if the federal government is not planning to find a way to reform the means of electing local government chairman. First, let the constitution be amended to say that local government chairman election must be conducted and no governor has the power to appoint any sole administrator, whatever mayor, whatever you call, into those local government. Then probably find a way to, I don't know how they're going to do it. That SEC should not be appointed by governors. They should find a way.
Okay, good question. When it comes to the SEC, can they pass it to just the House and Senate, or does it have to go? Does it require 2/3 of the assemblies to pass?
Yeah, it will still go back to the assemblies. So
I know for to get the 2/3. I mean,
yes, they will still go back to the assemblies. But what I think they should do now, set up a team to study that constitution very well, find some loopholes upon which they can find a way to control what is happening at the state in terms of election, local government. But if they start by making the tenure of the local government sacrosanct, they can still return to the court for interpretation of some provisions, just the way they've done now. You remember Buhari has been trying to push this autonomy since, but he couldn't because he was using executive order, which is not binding. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, there is not like executive order in the Nigerian legal system. They are just borrowing it from America. It's simply called executive regulation in Nigeria, and regulation is not binding. So I love what they are doing now, judicial decision. So let them return to go and be specific on when to conduct election. Maybe the Rivers State case should be a litmus test. Let them appeal that Rivers State case and take it to the Supreme Court. Let the Supreme Court make a final pronouncement on when should you conduct. Because in Rivers State now, I know that I think the High Court has made the pronouncement or Court of Appeal that the governor, that the tenure, the House of Assembly cannot extend tenure of those local government. Fine. And then the governor cannot appoint people to be there pending when he will do election. But the question now is that when should he conduct election? That's what the constitution has not stated. So he can leave them there now to the end of his tenure. You see the loophole. So the Supreme Court should make a pronouncement and say, okay, you cannot. Maybe now take it back to, there's a provision that applies only to the president that you can delay election in a state, but it must not exceed XYZ period. Maybe they could say, okay, by way of analogy, that provision also should be applicable to a governor. So if their tenure expires and there is no election, within 3 months, you must conduct election to ensure that people. So if that is done, then we have solved the second problem again. So that whatever money, and then there is also another judgment that says, Nigeria is a very complex country. There was another judgment, I think was Fayose and all those guys back then, that says that EFCC cannot prosecute state offense. I hope you are aware of that. So, and that's what those governors have been using. That's what Yahya Bello is trying to use again now, and say, okay, if I embezzle money from my state, okay, then
it has to be the state court. He wants to bring it back to the
state. Have to be the state. And these states now start creating their own, more like EFCC, like Lagos has one now. It's more like EFCC thing too. So, and how do you want to do that? Okay, you are the one putting the next governor there. The next governor will never allow your state nonsense to go and be going after the former governors and others. All those cases have to travel all the way to Supreme Court on time. Once we have all these pronouncements on it, it will be clear to everybody that, okay, if you're a local government chairman, you are not committing any state offense, EFCC can go after you. And if that is also the case, I think that will prioritize the local government, with people also putting pressure on them, will make them to work. That's my take on it. But I think it's victory for the government, and it's the beginning of the true federal structure we're going to experience in Nigeria.
Do you know what I even think it will solve? It's a bigger problem, but I think it will solve a problem of this tribalism thing that we tend to have. Like, how let's say somebody from the East is a president or a governor, people that criticize him believe it are going against the other person's son and daughter, because when their son was there, they didn't. But if you have the powers at that level, local governments, then most people can face their local government council chairman for development, right? They have the money, they have the funds. So I think that not that it eradicates it totally, right? But we are better off, if you get my point. So if let's say for example now we're talking about resources, but because I think they should go further than just giving them the money. Elections, I think even they should be in the conversation for resource control as well. At least they should have a share of that, or have a say if that resource is found on their soil. I don't think it should just be states that should be fighting for autonomy or whatever. Local government also should have a say in that. So if we can take it to that level, I think that most Nigerians will then focus on their own local government council, not Abuja, not the government. I hope you get my where I want it to really go. That's where I want that conversation to go. So
that's what I think. That's what the federal government is trying to do, because they observe now that Nigerians pay attention to the federal government only, and just abandon the state and local government.
Right.
So that's why they are trying to direct the people to actually focus on the real people that affect them directly.
So if I'm complaining about primary healthcare system, for instance, right, and the law is changed, even SPEB for primary education is tweaked a little bit, nobody will start blaming one minister in Abuja for you not having an effective clinics or primary system in your local government. It will be your own person, your own people, your own tribe that speaks your own language that you have to hold accountable. Not somebody from a different tribe that you might, that's what I think we need. Let's hold our own people accountable. So that's where I want us to go, and that's where I think the real growth will come up from, not states. Like I said before, I hate seeing Sanwo-Olu. That thing annoys me. Each time it's cutting paper. I have opened this clinic. I say, look on clinic. This is local government job now. Why are you cutting paper? That thing annoys me anytime I see him do that. What is the meaning of this? So, but that's my take on that.
You see, I agree with you, and I think on One Man Platform, that was one of the sessions where I took my time to go to, I think, third schedule paragraph C or something like that of our constitution. I took my time, about almost 30 minutes or an hour, to do the analysis of the functions of the local governments. You see, that constitution, and that's why sometimes when people say, "Oh, demolish this constitution," I always listen to Lisa Bakoba talking about that thing. The constitution is demonic. I said, you are just committing fallacy of what do they call it? There's something that is just a fallacious argument that you pick a whole document and you say it's Nigerian problem. You're being too simplistic about Nigerian problem. The constitution as it is, if we are sincere about the implementation, contains what is enough for us to be able to develop. If you pick Nigerian constitution and you take it to the US, it will just function. So it's a function of the people. It's not a function of one document that is just somewhere, something black and white, and that is what you think is your problem. You know, if you go to the constitution, do you know in our constitution stipulates what are the functions of the local governments? And all this thing you just talked about there is very comprehensive. One, so they're in charge of, and I think in my discussion back then, I tried to juxtapose it with what we have in the UK. It's the same thing. But why are we not doing it? It's because they don't really have this autonomy. Many of them will want to. I remember there was one guy that emerged as the best local government chairman back then. I think somewhere from East. Either Imo or Enugu, there was one guy like that, one very aged elderly man. The guy was just walking. And then it became came to limelight, they brought to channels and everything, and they were displaying all his projects in his local government. It was there was one abandoned bridge, it was state bridge, it was state road. The guy went to go and do that bridge, but lo and behold, the guy was owing local government staff. And when they interviewed him, he said, "Look, I know this money is for salary and everything, but I can't just abandon all these projects. When the time comes, the state government will release more money to set all these local government employees." So I think he halved their salary, and then he was just doing. Now the workers don't like him, but the public like him because that was what local government should be doing, and which leads me to basic things that they do here, where I stay here, is local government that is in charge of market space. Local government is in charge of transportation at the local level. Local government is in charge of primary school, like the one that will give you admission to primary school and give children primary school. They're in charge of primary health care. It's not state governor that will be opening maternity center and others. Local government should be doing it. Dispensary, they're in charge of dispensary. Sewage collection, they're in charge. They get radio license and all these things. They give you local radio license. In Nigeria today, you want to get radio license, you still go to Abuja to get radio license. You can't get a local radio license that is within a local government that can enlighten people. But you still have to go to Abuja to go and get it. And they keep controlling, all these things from up. That there should be a lot of things.
Even motor park levies is supposed to be local government.
Yes, they should. They have a lot. If you go to that constitution,
I went to Ibukulata one day. I was even surprised that they even have more taxes to collect at that level than even the state.
They have more.
Even the boat, even if you buy boat to use on any river in that local government, they can tax.
They are the one. You see that Lagos. You see all those ones that Sanwo-Olu and state government, and they are in charge of all those boats, all those speed boats, all those that sea transportation and everything should be local government. It should be local because they are within the state. You're not traveling out. It should be local government. A lot they have, and that could allow them to generate enough IGR even within each local government. So you could imagine a local government now competing with another local government heavily in terms of, I'm the one generating more IGR, you are the one generating more IGR. This is what we are doing. We have our own farm, and they start collaborating with other local governments. Say, okay, if what you have, this is your strength. Let's collaborate to, and a local government can leave his state to go and collaborate with a local government in another state if that is what.
And guess what? Businesses will follow suit. Look at local government A. You want me to come to your local government? What do you have to offer? We'll give you land, free taxes. Then start competing. Then if you want me to come and invest in your local government, give me something to work with. Then it becomes competitive. That's what
until I lived in Abuja, I never knew that local government should be collecting council tax, ground rent, and tenements. It's not the business of state governor. It's local government. In Abuja, Abuja Municipal Area Council, they're the one collecting. So I was just privileged to stay to rent an apartment in Maitama, and they will bring their bill. Initially, I was so surprised. What kind of bill? I've never seen that in my life. I grew up in Ekiti, so I've never seen local government collecting waiting. Our house has been there for how many years? Who they come to do anything? The only way I knew my dad would go to his state, they go to lands in state to go and regularize document. That's all. Nobody will collect anything. When I was saying now, yeah, they'll bring their council tax. Oh boy, council tax. And they'll give you your, when you pay, they give you your receipt and everything to show that you have paid. Water rate, all those things, they used to bring it, you know. And so now in the UK, I now started trying to reconcile and say, okay, that was what AMAC was actually collecting back then. And they will come and pick your refuse, pick your waste, pick your solid waste and everything. And then they give trash bin for you to put your thing where you bin in. So, okay, this is how every local government should really be functioning, you know. And another thing I see that should come from this place is this, and may come from this place is some political parties in Nigeria. You know, we have so many political parties in Nigeria that don't even have office holders. Some political parties in Nigeria should now start going down to the local government to go and contest. So even if you can't pick House of Assembly ticket, you can't pick rep, you can't pick, you can actually take some local government spaces.
You have a chance with the councillor or local government chairman. You have a chance with that one.
Chairman. Yeah, you could imagine a space like, let's say, Raikiti now. Okay, you have APC as the governor, Labour Party. You can go to that space and maybe out of 18 local governments in the state, you're occupying about 4 or 5. Another party is occupying 2. Another party. To put the state government on their toes now, because if they are not careful, the performance of your performance at the local government level may start becoming
that will become 6. That 6 will become 8. Next thing before you know, yes, they take over the whole
state. It become a selling point, and if they are not careful, people will be seeing it, and you know, and I still keep talking about this radio station too, you know, because people need awareness. In Nigeria, federal government has hijacked the major means by which the commoners could get awareness, and which is by radio station license and all these licenses. In Nigeria, thank God for social media and internet, the awareness would have been very low. But how far can that take people? It can't really take you too far. Like, there is a limit to where you can even access internet in Nigeria. Like you come to a place like my state. So if local governments are allowed to have their own or to issue their own little local government radio station that is within a particular local government frequency, then people get more aware, they promote their projects more, they give people more awareness, and you know, all these things. I mean, I think that primary school should still be returned back to local government and let them be in charge of primary school education. They should take it back to local government like in the 70s. The federal government has no business doing with that primary school thing. They should take it back to local government and probably
they have like a collaboration between federal and local SPEB.
Yeah, they have UBEC.
Yeah, they used to work together, and it was federal government that was doing it. So
the UBEC is Obasanjo that brought that UBEC thing. I don't see any function. They should take that in.
I mean, why your fellow Ekiti man will be praising maybe 5 minutes on the platform. I don't know why he lost Obasanjo so much.
OBJ now. So OBJ is more like what your back or Sheburuku Shere. He has his own good part and his own bad part. So you can't really.
But the damage it did. I mean, it did great things. Don't get me wrong. But we're still suffering from one of those. Like example now, local government,
particularly education.
Education.
Actually removing history, all those things, man.
And you also remember it's fitting not to tame Boko Haram early.
Yeah,
I know they were that failure of when the Sharia thing came around, how we played the political game with that in 0203. That was also, we were suffering for that now. So yeah,
I don't know what he was thinking of. I don't know. I can't really pick what Obasanjo was thinking of. That you remove history from curriculum, you remove history, you took primary education from local government to federal back. What? Because we all know that there are some part of Nigeria, some places in Nigeria that don't play that much emphasis on education. So when you now harmonize things, then you drag others that are already advanced behind. That's the you drag them behind. You know, it's just like using the same parameter to admit somebody in Unimed and University of Ife. It won't work. It won't work. It will take one back, decades back, in order to probably get them parallel with the one that is behind. Then they now start moving again at a very slow pace. Yeah, I don't know, but I think this decision of the Supreme Court, I'll go and read it. I'll get some people to send it to me now. I think it's a win. It's a win-win thing for Nigeria. And
but I the concern I also share is, like, you know, currently the people that are there now, they are still stooges of the governor. So
yeah,
sense.
And that's why I said there must be amendment to the laws to ensure that they are specific about their tenures, and who is conducting the election also matters. I think it's another space that opposition should be looking at now. And Nigerians generally, not opposition, because they're all politicians, they're all useless people. Nigerians should be looking at who conducts election to local government positions in Nigeria. We should be very specific about that thing and be concerned and find a reform to do in that aspect, so that the governors will not be the one conducting all the times and determine when to conduct and appointing this and that, and we can find a way around that, so that we can have a robust election where all those small political parties, because that's what they do in UK, for instance. You come to some local government, you just ask them what political party is the one. You just realize that they are just one unknown political party that are not at the national level at all. They are the one in charge of the local government, and they can tell you they've been there, they've been the one winning election in this space for the past also time. You know, but they are not a national party. They say yes, but they are performing. You know, that's how it is. So if there is no independent candidacy, then let us have a way to encourage all these small local political. Imagine party like the Warren Party now. You want to prove a point now. So already winning election, and maybe that Akure won't do now. The governor is even in trouble, because he will be telling you, "I have not done this is the project in my local government. Why have you not coming to do it? This is your allocation for the year. Why? So why have you not? You've collected money to do so road. Why are you not? You know, things like that. So, which will bring healthy competition, and then put the governors on their toes too. You know, it's a win thing. I'm expecting judicial autonomy too to kick in soon, so that our judiciary will not be bowing to the executive any longer. If they can do that too, maybe they should take that also to the Supreme Court to determine.
But your Judicial Council and NBA, it's not their failure to fight for that. Like, they would not really fought to ensure.
I know. Let me hold on. Can I explain more about the ruling?
Okay, go ahead. Man.
I said the Supreme Court has said that it is illegal for governor to dissolve democratic elected local government in order for the federal government to withhold allocation to local government governor by unelected official appointed by the governor. That means if governor just appoint anybody, federal government may decide to just withhold that local government allocation till the governor decide to hold
so that means the governor has to conduct the election. The years of going without elections.
Yes, going forward.
But what we are saying is that even the power to conduct elections should be taken away from them.
You mean, okay, that means that the power should be given to INEC to conduct.
Just take that way. Nobody is playing games and trying to manipulate the election at the state level.
I think more details needs to come out. Someone just posed this now, but I think there will be more details. I think that I agree with you. If we are going to see actual change, that needs to happen. INEC needs to conduct government election.
We are saying that even if you give him their money, if that person is still in that person will still be under his control.
Yeah. Okay, so that means based on this law now, those local government chairmen appointed by what they call it Fubara in Rivers. That means they.
By the way, I have a question for Benny. Sorry, I apologize for you. Benny, are you there? I have a question for you. Can you hear me, Benny?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. So you know, some of these states they created LCDAs that under our law is not recognized.
Yes, it's not.
So if the federal government is going to, let's say they split a local government council into two now, and the federal government is now sending money. And remember, they are split them into two LCDAs, so not using the tag local government. So who gets the money then?
So it's simple. You remember historically, if you go back to the background, what led to this SCDA thing? Tinubu wanted to create local governments back then, but the constitution and Obasanjo pushed back that you cannot create local government, and then held their money. So then they got to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court made a pronouncement that the state government cannot create. If we have to create more local government in Nigeria, you have to route. The state government will start first, make that proposal, then you take it to the House of Assembly, they pass, then you now route it now straight to the National Assembly, which is the only body that can create, because they need to amend the constitution to allow them to create. The constitution does not only recognize local government in Nigeria, but the constitution has already listed how many local governments that is constitutionally recognized in Nigeria. So you can't add to it. That's what Supreme Court said in that case. So what the Tinubu government now went back after that Supreme Court to do was to now do what they call SCDA. Now you see, each SCDA you see, they are still under local governments. Okay, they are not independent on their own, they don't stand on their own. So if you have, for instance, let's say the constitution recognize Ekpe, for instance. Now the constitution recognize Ekpe local government, for instance. So under that Ekpe, since the state governor feel that Ekpe is too big, to be administered by one local government council. So what they now do is they still have Ekpe, which is their main headquarters now, which is the one the constitution recognized. Then under Ekpe now, you can have LCD, maybe about 3 LCD or 2 LCD. So they are actually for administrative convenience. Okay. And they don't bear chairman, they are not chairman local government, because they are not local government, they are LCDA. Okay, it's for local government development area. So it's for administrative convenience to be able to develop the area and be more focused on areas and projects. And by the way, the reason is this: you're having about 30 to 40 something local government in Kano, as small landmass Kano is, but in Lagos you're having just 20 something local governments. So Kano that have more local government will be able to have more administrative, sub level to, governor a smaller space. It can bring more development and more focus. So that's what they're trying to replicate in Lagos. So if once you conduct election to the position of the chairman of those local government, you have fulfilled what the constitution wants. And I think to an extent you have fulfilled what this judgment is saying now. This is the little we've been able to get from the judgment, the extract. So once you have fulfilled that, whatever happened at the LCDA level is an internal affairs within that local government. So it's not.
The funding of it, like, okay, the money goes to the local government.
The money comes from the main local government. The money goes straight to the constitution that the local government that constitution recognized. Then from there, the chairman can now say, okay, this LCDA need this project, this LCDA. So it's more like the one coordinating all the 3 LCDA on that.
Yeah. Okay. But like, based on what you're saying, Tinubu, even though we're calling it LCDAs, it really wanted them to be actual local government councils.
That's what he wanted, but the constitution does not allow that.
Right. So I think it should push the fight further, because I believe the states have the right to create, right, then move it to the federal. So you can.
So because it's a constitutional requirement. So if the state government is going to, if the state is going to create local government, then each time you now push it to the National Assembly to start including that list, it won't end. I think with LCDA, I think it's a fantastic innovation from the Tinubu guys from Lagos, which I think it's something we should applaud them for even thinking of that LCDA and find a way around the rigid stance of our constitution. and then make use of that. What matters to people eventually, to any commoner in the street eventually, is that is development getting to me? The money from federal government, is it getting down to me?
Why do you think Obasanjo was it more political? Was it political?
Was political now. The reason is this. So in 1999 now, I think it's political and also legal. Now, 1999, we have Alliance for Democracy, don't forget. Now you have Alliance for Democracy taking the whole of about 5 states or 6 states we have in the Southwest. You have APP. You remember APP? APP was Falaye and others.
Oh, the socialists, they broke up from the SDP. Yeah.
They later became an AMPP. The APP took Northeast and some places also in North Central. Then you now have PDP. PDP was not absolute majority in 1999. It wasn't. So there were 3 main political parties competing in that space. So Obasanjo was after Haiti. Obasanjo was really after Haiti because he felt Haiti should be Obasanjo's base. And as the president, he didn't even have his base. More like what you can call home base. He had no home base. Okay. And he was already looking towards 2003. So he needed his own base on his side, but they were not giving him that support. And that was all Bola getting, appoint Bola as this and that, play too. They were chasing Abraham Adesoye everywhere and that. Unfortunately, that was when Tinubu started making waves in Lagos. Tinubu was actually making serious waves in Lagos. Except, for the obedience way that just came in and want us to just erase Tinubu's record and just paint Tinubu as one monster in Lagos who never achieved anything. I don't know where that idea actually came from. We that grew up around that time, particularly those of us that were in the university around that time and were so politically conscious and were placed there, politics, and were there. We understood that if you want to pick any governor in Nigeria in 1999 to 2007, number one you pick is Lagos governor. It's not everybody knew that, So Tinubu was really making wave, and Obasanjo saw that as a major challenge because Obasanjo was looking for a way. Obasanjo was looking through that 2003. He believed he will be recontesting. Don't forget that Atiku also thought Obasanjo would only use 1 term. So Obasanjo never knew that Atiku had such intention. So they were all maneuvering and strategizing. But a major enemy they had, AD. Obasanjo was able in 2003 eventually to demolish 5 out of the 6 AD guys.
Yeah, but let me ask you, because I remember Oshoba saying that they had a deal with Obasanjo. Listen, we know you need the letting of Yorubas because of what happened in 1999. You felt like we didn't vote for you. So the deal was people will vote at the state level AD, federal PDP. That was the agreement. But Tinubu was the only governor that said, I don't trust this guy. It was the only one that did not follow through. If you remember, Oshoba would say that today, we said OBJ betrayed them. That's what he
betrayed them now.
But Tinubu knew he was going to play that game, so he didn't really follow through.
He didn't follow them. I betrayed them now. In Osun, we had Baba Bisi. In Oyo, we have Lamade Shino. In Ekiti, we have our Adebayo Adeni, Oshoba, Ondo have Agagu. And then, Odo have Adefarasin, not Agagu, the late Adefarasin. And then Lagos had Tinubu. So they were all AD guys. They were all pro-Awolowo, so to speak.
So Tinubu was the youngest among them, right? I think he was the youngest.
Yeah, no. Adeni Adebayo was the youngest. Adeni Adebayo was Robert Adenika's son, very young man.
Oh, okay.
He later became minister under Buhari.
I think that got, because I think Lagos was the pride that it really wanted to, and he lost that. I think that it became personal.
So what was Obasanjo? Obasanjo just loved them. Like in Ondo, he went there as if he had an agreement with them that he would do this. But unfortunately, what Obasanjo now did was that he now used INEC to set the timetable. The agreement was that they would give him presidency, then would give him gubernatorial. So he would sell out his guys. And who were his guys? Agagu was in Ondo, that was his guys in PDP.
They Daniel
was a guy back then, and then this guy in Oyo, Akala's boss, that one that they later shit out, was the guy in Baba. He's still alive, you know, and then the guy in Lagos. So he tricked them, but unfortunately, close to the election, he changed the timetable so that they will have gubernatorial election first, then after they will have presidential election the next 2 weeks. So unfortunately, they will have presidential election first, then after gubernatorial election will take place. So you give me your support first, then I'll give you support. So immediately we had presidential election. Obasanjo won. The guy just turned his back. For him to now weigh in the gubernatorial election, he had already won his own position now. The guy didn't.
The some people are still suing him because they feel like he used an Ijebu man against Oshoba and
the guy he just militarized. He militarized the entire Southwest. He militarized the place. They just police, everybody just occupied that space. Nobody, even governor. I remember I was a kid then. Governor Adiba cannot even move out of his own house. On the day of election, he cannot move out of his own house. That was how. But because Tinubu, the only person who did not strike that deal with him, that one did not strike any deal. And don't forget that Tinubu had already established his own. They call them neighborhood watch and all these guys, so they were not, and he was in charge of his structure, so he didn't collapse the structure for anybody at all. It was just that was how he escaped that OBJ tsunami, and so all those things added together, had them all together was what Obasanjo was not really happy about, and so he needed to just get them out and just deal with Lagos, because he knew quite right that Tinubu has been aiming presidency for a very long time. So he knew that if he allows this guy to look at independent electricity generation in Lagos, it was Obasanjo that practically killed that project.
I don't know. I was even the Eco Atlantic thing. That thing was initially owned by OBJ boys. So
yes,
they went to cut over that too. So I'm like, this thing, they took this thing, they were really rough. I mean, this was really personal because even in the business world, like, my God,
many of the fights we see, particularly in political space, are most times personal. When you go back deeply, even many of the wars in the world, when you look at it deeply, sometimes you realize that just two personalities, just muzzling their ego and just playing personal things. Nothing really has to do with commoners, and most times they are personal things. And here we are today, still suffering from that. And how many years after Supreme Court is just telling us now that local government autonomy is sacrosanct in Nigeria? Imagine. Should that even be an issue before the court at all?
I wonder what is the House of Senate doing to even fix that problem? If they were really sincere. But how can they?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, but I said, how can you expect the Senate to pass anything when half of the people there now are former governors? They're not gonna help. It's a retirement for them now, so they're gonna help their friends at the state level now. Like,
they are not just former. You see the way this thing works, Nigeria. By the time you are having former governors in the Senate, the other senators appointed to the place are also stooges of the governors.
Right. And the guy that is down there is also a stooge as well.
So as they are conducting the election, okay, look at Wike. Let's use Wike as a litmus test now. Now, Wike wanted to leave the seat in 2023. What did he do? He installed the governors there. He installed the governor there. He installed all the 3 senators. In fact, he purchased their forms. And they'll be so proud to come to TV and say he purchased our form. The nomination form. Can you imagine? So you purchase the 3 senators form. Let's assume Wike now make it also to the Senate. So Wike will not be the only senator there The other two senators that you see from the state are weak in the real sense. Is it so replicate it with those governors there? So when you have one governor in the Senate, the other two senators are that governor too. That's the kind of politics we play in Nigeria. So if Wike is going red, the other two governors go red. If that senator is going red, the former governor is going red, the other two senators, they also go red. And then ditto the rep too. They will go the same way. So all you just need as president is just to see those former governors to your side. Once they swim to your side, then you have his stooge also swimming to your side. It's terrible.
Yeah. I just hope we can get enough of them to change this thing, because they also control the state assembly, by the way. So
yeah.
So I just hope that they can get it, because the Nigeria of my dreams is for me to go to Nigeria, if I'm ever interested in anything political, to focus on my local government. That's really,
yes.
I don't want to do anything.
Me too, because there's hardly no government you pick in Nigeria without at least one thing that we know them for. One thing, you must pick one thing that you know them for. Somebody was telling me of what they call Abakaliki rice recently. One of my friend from Iboyi, and was telling me that look, that I know that thing they call Abakaliki rice was not really Abakaliki gong. Mention the local government, the town that has that rice, and that's what they do. That's a very big expanse of land. But these days now, they're not able to do all those things again because they relegated them so much that there's not much they can really do in that area. You could imagine that kind of a local government now. You have a chairman now that has his allocation coming monthly from the federal government, and you have more money to devote to agriculture. I mean, for me, I think it will be a good thing if. But I know by now the governors will also be sitting down now to re-strategize on how to sidetrack this. Like that. All these politicians are not really for us. That's the issue. They will be strategized by now. I know they will be calling one another. Say, see what this Baba is doing. We have to get this man out by 2027. Pending that time,
let's start making new deals, alliances.
Let's find a way around this nonsense decision. Because you could imagine the first person that went against this executive order when Buhari did it was late my governor in Ondo State. What's his name? This son, late Akeredolu. Late Akeredolu was the first to come out and he was so against the thing. I was like, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, what's wrong with Akeredolu now? Why is he? Why they were all against it? Fire me, all of them. It's like on like more like as if you wanted to take their lives from them. What? Same with judicial autonomy. There were the same people coming around and said, no, it's not possible. They can't grant judicial. What? So you don't want the money of judges from your state to come straight from the federal government? What's wrong in that? But they know what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They knew that the moment I'm a judge and I don't get my salary from you, I get my salary straight from consolidated fund, which nobody can stop. Nobody can. I have my budget straight from my CJ. I want to do repairs in my court. I don't get it from the executive. I repair my thing. I'll just be making orders I like now, following my conscience straight. I don't care about who is the governor, and I have the Nigerian police force guiding me as my guide there. I don't care about. You can imagine that.
What do you even recently did that? We might even see an LG council even have their own police service where they are that independent from the state that we don't even need. You can come in for if we can handle it, but if we can handle it, we don't need you in our local government. Because in America, I have seen a local government chairman, police officer ask a state sheriff to leave, it was a gas station. That this is his own jurisdiction, that he doesn't have the right here, and he had to leave. I'm like, wow. In Nigeria, they will have staff prepare. How do you know who I am? I am for the state, but in America, they have. In fact, they're like, no, this is my local council. I have the right here. And the big boy
you know another area in Nigeria we've not been really looking at is this chieftaincy area, the traditional rulers. Do you know there's a percentage of allocation that goes to local government that traditional rulers draws directly?
Really?
I'll be aware. Yeah.
Yeah, they get paid. I know.
It's
But I don't know
sacrosanct. It's not, they don't debate it. It's not as if you don't negotiate it. There's a percentage. I'll still try and get that percentage. And I think it's even up to almost 10. Almost either 10% or something like that. That goes to traditional rulership. So that's what they use in paying their chiefs. They use in settling some conflicts. You know, they also sit in their court, in their council.
Yeah, they have court that, yeah.
They resolve issues, they pay their staffs, they pay, if they have district head under them, they pay their district, all those ballet, all those things, they pay them, you know, just to maintain peace and order within the local community, and also do, maybe if there's a need for all the local spiritual exercises and everything. Well, constitution doesn't recognize juju, but recognize traditions, you know. They do it, maybe at peace with their tiny god and all those things, and they are allowed, and that's the reason for those money. But I keep asking, so who are they accountable to? How many people are even holding them responsible? How many people are even telling them to come and give accounts? And that's why when they started this Lamido Ganduje time, I told some people, I said, look, we should look at the positive parts of Ganduje decision. Yeah, Ganduje was so radical about it because he had you with Lamido. But can we just sit back and look at the positive part? And an example I gave people back then was that, okay, everybody would demonize COVID-19 killed people, COVID-19 was so negative. But there's some positive things COVID-19 brought. For instance, people that talk about climate change and all that, they said the health heals itself within that COVID-19 thing. That was what the research report brought out, that the rate at which the ozone layer and all those things were being destroyed before COVID-19 because of a pause that the whole world had during COVID-19, no plane flying, few plane flying, few cars and everything. They said the health reformed it renews itself a bit. Some research also say among animals, by the time the animals that fly around in the street and everything, that there was a positive impact on animals. And you know, there's a positive part of COVID-19 as negative as it looks like, you know. Now, I said, you look, okay, Ganduje, yes, you radicalized in and reshaped this guy and that. I said, but it's a way of making traditional rulers also to be accountable. Because why did they chase Lamido? There were money devoted to his account, run to billions, that collected within that space from Kano City, municipal city, local governments. Okay? And his own secretary, Issa Bayero, said, you are just investing all this money. You misappropriated them. You're just buying things around. And the state government felt, okay, this is the best way to pick this guy. Okay, come and give account. You can't give a straight account of how you spend billions. And I'm wondering
was he summoned to the house
they summoned, but he didn't appear. He did not. Lamido did not appear. Unfortunately, his private secretary, Issa Bayero, came to testify against him. So they just nailed him based on that, you know. And you know, a lot of politics playing through now. They maybe probably bribed that one said to come and those things. So, and he felt disrespect. It's disrespectful for you to now ask him account to come and appear before who? Politicians, you know. But you're a public officer. You're not a citizen, but you're a public officer because you are drawing public money. In the advanced world, once you are collecting public money and you have public responsibility, you're a public officer, you are answerable to anybody because it's taxpayers' money. Anybody can tell you, and that's why police wants to arrest you. You can ask any question you like. What's your name? What's your number? What's your Uber? Why are you wasting tax money to come and do this arrest? He owns you responsible to answer you all those questions because he's getting that money from public fund, you know. So I said this could be a beginning of us holding all these traditional rulers accountable. They are not, apart from the fact that they are spiritual fathers, but they are drawing public money. They are drawing money from public purse. You should be accountable for the money you are drawing, you know. There's a lot of space in Nigeria to look at anyway. If the Nigerians are ready for conversation, Nigeria, is it the way we are conversing now? And, you know, we're engaging on issues and talking like this. If you get to some forum, you can't do all this decent conversation. No. They will pass your daddy and your mommy, and they will.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm from about the South local government now. It will be easier for me to have this kind of conversation with my people in my local government than if it was at the federal level, where we are different from different people. We can talk beyond more our kind of conversation, like we know ourselves.
I agree.
So that's why, so that town hall meeting at our local government will be different from some state governor talking.
You could imagine your local government collecting, let's say, 10 billion as allocation for this month, and it's calling for town hall meeting. Everybody will be there now.
Everybody
will be looking at, okay, kilo 10 billion.
We went to school together.
If your local government is building one house, so they might pay before go to the local government chairman, they start telling him that our radical come and one meeting. Why are you building? To college? I must put down my lot now.
I must tell you now.
You know, and one of the reasons why I still respect Fauci today, I keep telling people, Fauci was governor of Ekiti. Fauci used to be on Ekiti radio station every Thursday, every blessed Thursday, and he will not allow them to censor anything, allow anybody to speak. Can you come with Gomina no man paying every blessed Thursday must be on the radio station. So there's no rumor you can peddle about Fauci. He will come and demystify that your rumor on the radio station every Thursday. Fauci must address his people, and people start calling him. So if you call this week and they didn't pick your call, or you didn't get your turn, wait till next week. Fauci sacked one commissioner on the radio station. There was something there was a competition they did in the state, and they were supposed to pick some children, you know, and encourage them, probably travel abroad to do one or two things and come back home. Mama made it to the best list, but when they went to the Commissioner of Education office, they said that the Omoye would need international passport. That was the reason why, instead of them to go and process international passport for that poor boy, they just removed that boy from the list, and it was one of the best. They removed the guy from the list and now substituted the guy. They now substituted the guy with I think director, one of the director's children, to make list. That was how that woman called in on Thursday program. Now, but my mind, meanwhile on the program, I'm shake with fire show. Or me, my shake with fire. No, my shake with fire. You know. So many people believe that Ras governor would how can he be talking like this with public and co, but it worked for him. It worked for him. So there's no rumor you want to peddle. He would demystify your rumor. That was how Mama she calling. Shake with fire. She shake with Kini con. And I was like, Mama really failed. He now told him that she now told hey, you're list for what? Kini con. Because he used to come to the radio with all his commissioners, so that you come and answer your own question from your ministry. That was how, you know, which commissioner is in charge. What happened at the end of the day? She realized that on substitute that he told that commissioner that this is your last day in office now. You are getting to the office, just pack your things. I'm appointing another commissioner tomorrow. So you could imagine that at the local government level, the local government chairman engaging his people once in a week in a town hall meeting, or once in a month in a town hall meeting. Whatever we discuss this month, will progress in next month. We'll assess your progress.
I'll follow through. You follow through.
I'll follow through. Then even people will be able to know that, okay, whether our local government is rich or not. Because sometimes some states in Nigeria, they are not that buoyant or rich, but because things are keeping secrecy, you won't even really know.
And also, and don't forget though, they will also be speaking in their local dialect and language.
That
not English. People actually show you that people will show up. Nobody say you must speak English. It will be the language.
You'll be able to relate. In fact, you that want to contest local government chairman said, you will be ready for the
we will not hear
pressure.
Shinedu will not show up contesting. We don't see them Shinedu.
You will be ready, because one thing I say in Nigeria is that if we continue the way we're doing now, and I don't know if you've heard me before on one man show where I said my own solution to this National Assembly thing is we shouldn't have an assembly or a building called National Assembly. Everybody should be working from their constituency. And I still believe in that approach. Let every senator stay in their state. Let every rep stay in their state. They don't need to go and stay in Abuja. Once they elect you and you win your election, you must have your MP office, your Senate office, your state. Stay in your state. Let everybody see you in your state. Rep, stay in your state. Let everybody see you in your state. Now, if you're having meeting, if you're having, let's say you're having major meeting, now you can have your meeting now across in terms of you voting, you're doing all these things via electronic device and all these things. You're having meetings, they're sending bills to you, you're reading it, you're doing all your work from your you don't need to gather in a place. Now, if there's a need now for you guys to gather in a place, then be rotating it. If we are gathering in Southwest today, you choose Lagos, we come down. We are gathering in Enugu the next while. We are gathering in North Central the next time. So that in a circle, a senator must have gone through the 36 states of Nigeria in a circle in your lifetime. So that when they are speaking to a bill that is coming from Enugu, you can relate with their experience of, okay, that Enugu, it's true. Those people are lacking behind in terms of federal infrastructure. But you're a senator, you have never even been in your life outside Southwest in your life. And you want to vote.
I will be the loudest talking about, no, we don't know about that place.
If are not, no, they don't need it. All those are bookies. But you've never been to the north and see what they're experiencing. For instance, I remember when they were trying to pass a bill on water. In fact, I remember one of my friends that I was in law school, I was arguing that why do we need to have Ministry of Water Resources when water? I said, hey, have you been to the north? Do you know what water means? Do you study geography? I know even what water really means to the people in the Sahel on the desert. Do you know what water means? Because you are in the Bekonga, so you can draw water anyhow from well. River is not too far in your village, and then you think there shouldn't be Ministry of Water, or you think government should not prioritize this water resources thing. There is water. What is they should do other things? But if you've been to the heart of Sokoto, you've been to the heart of Katsina, you go to Jigawa, or you travel up Zamfara, and you can relate with the experience. By the time they are bringing this issue, you'll be able to relate with that thing and say, okay, maybe let them convince us more on why we should have this.
You are better informed. You engage people, but that also comes from those town hall meetings, like I was talking about. You can even show up to maybe a fellow senator is having a town hall meeting. You can even join him in that conversation.
Yes,
you can talk to him. Yeah, I'm a fellow senator. I'm a fellow House of Rep member. Let's have a conversation with you. You talk to people. So if you make it a monthly thing or by monthly or whatever, then people will be more involved. They'll be more engaged. So that local level politics, what I'm really excited about, not state, local politics. I think now people like you can just say, you know what, I want to go back to Nigeria and run for office in my local government because I have the funding, I have the power to make a move. I can even bring people in from the diaspora to my own local government council to develop the place. You don't need the government. You don't need that government. It's just your people now.
You have your people's. You have your people's progress in your mind. So you want to return and ensure that's it. And
so nobody will the tribalism, all this nonsense will go away. Nobody will care about your
all those constituency allowance and all those things. Everybody can question you because you are within the locality. You can walk in and knock your door and say, look, We learned that you have collected social billion as consensus allowance. Tell us where you have spent it. But when you are staying in Abuja,
Do you know the engagement that I would really want to see? The councillors, because they're even more closer to the people than the local government chairman. Because you probably know him, he probably lives down the street. He also has to engage the people as well. So that will also be. I'm really excited about. I wish I could speed up the process and get this autonomy thing. It's a long road and it's a long fight, but I pray Tinubu can succeed in this area. If this is the only thing he does, I think I'll be okay. Where if we can get this thing to have the elections done, autonomy, grant them more powers to really collect their own taxes, civil engagement of politicians at that level, access to resources, also tweak business. Whatever your Chamber of Commerce has, they also have to bring that on the table and visit those laws, those regulations, which will make it easier for local government councils to bring in investment. So these are things that I'm really excited. Ben, to be honest with you, I'm really excited about this because I would just focus on my local government council and I will come and hang out with you once in a while at the state level or federal level when I have time. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah.
I only pray that the governors don't find a way around it because I don't trust those governors.
I don't need them.
I pray they don't find a way.
Let me say, who's the host?
No, it's an open space to speak. It's
okay, great. Just allow. I'm going to be here maybe 5 minutes or less. I've been looking for Winnie to talk. We had an issue that we're talking about. That one man went to Mo, and I was there for a long time. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. So I'm talking about that section 138 of our Constitution, which clearly prohibits the president from holding any other office, especially one that's executive office, right? Where they form the habit of making themselves a petroleum minister or oil minister. And it's very clear in the Constitution that they're prohibited from doing that. I was gone, but when I came back, I saw that you then addressed the issue. So I was able to see what you said, right? So let me summarize what you said to be that there's a case you dug out. That was a challenge at some kind of lower court, an inferior court, where they did not buy the reasoning, the argument, but not by reviewing it, the substance of the case. Just thrown out, I guess, something like a local standby reason was used to throw it out, right? Is that right? You cited a case like that?
So I cited two cases, right?
Okay, what is the second one?
So I cited MBA Buhari, led by Olisa Bakoba. Right. And I cited one NGO like that, something better Nigeria.
Oh, yeah, I remember. You don't have to remember. Go ahead.
Against Obasanjo. That was Obasanjo. So the first case, the one against Obasanjo, was Federal High Court, and it was struck out on jurisdiction basis. The second case against Buhari sailed through. And what was the decision of that case? The decision resonates with your position. So the decision, Justice Stephen Adda or something like Federal Court Abuja said that yes, upheld, interpreted Section 138, okay, and said that the president should and so what they did in that case was just interpretation of that and make a pronouncement. So the reason why they struck out the one against Obasanjo was because they are asking for a positive order, okay, to order Obasanjo to appoint Minister of Petroleum Resources. So they struck that one out because you can't seek a declaration, not a declaration, you can't seek an executory order against the sitting president. So the one Olisa Bakoba did during Buhari time, they tried to avoid that error and now sought for a declaratory order against Buhari, meaning interpret this section and let us know what exactly is position. So the court agreed with your position that, look, the president cannot be the president and at the same time be the Minister of Petroleum Resources. The president should appoint a Minister of Petroleum Resources. That's my legal findings.
Okay,
on
yeah,
that.
but the thing is that none of that, even the one that favor me, the last citation you're making, have anything to do with what we're talking about, right? We're talking about our Constitution and what it says clearly in that section 138. And if you're going to approach it with the spirit of stare decisis, legal precedent, right? None of these things that you're talking about reach to that level. All constitutional reviews is only placed in the hands of the Supreme Court. That's the only person who could not only determine what our Constitution says, but more importantly, what it doesn't say. The language in the Constitution is very clear. They cannot hold a post. Aside from that presidency, they cannot hold another post. As a matter of fact, if I have the language of that, then it goes, okay, the president shall not, during his tenure of office, hold any other executive office or paid employment in any capacity whatsoever. Now, he used the word whatsoever. Usually, the language of a constitution is restrained by saying shall not do XYZ. Most people who are not legally trained, they say, okay, shall. Shall is a very solid word for must not. This particular language on this section 138 goes as far as saying paid employment, holding your executive office in any capacity whatsoever. Now, but I'm going to be done with my next sentence. So what I'm trying to say to you, our relationship is improved because we're trying to understand and respect one another, right? None of us led any foundation. It's not necessary on these platforms. But what I want you to do is to go full circle. When we're talking about issues about our country, you have to play a positive role. You cannot make it to where it's like in a twilight zone, where you don't know what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is false. There is, as a trained lawyer, you know that some of these opinions that are not published, that are rendered by judges every day in a courtroom, have nothing whatsoever to do with our interpretation of our Constitution. So unless there is a common law by the Supreme Court that affects the whole country, that interprets that Constitution, is untouched. No matter what any judge does in their courtroom, of course, you were gracious to find one that advances my point, but I'm rejecting it because I'm saying it's not precedent. As far as vertical stare decisis is concerned, to the apex court. So they could make their rulings here and there. For instance, here in the United States, it has to be a published opinion, and it has to meet a certain threshold to be stare decisis in that sense. But when it comes to constitutional matter, it's not just what any judge says, then interprets that. Then I did hear you say, well, they should have challenged it and gone far. But even in the case that you say it's good for you, all they did was to reject it based on local standi that they didn't have, they don't have standing in the case. So that's what I wanted to say to you. I was looking for you so that we could have a fascinating conversation on this. And by the way, Babati, I appreciate your indulgence in giving me a minute.
No. Before you leave, by the way, somebody brought the news that the Supreme Court just
no. Before then, let me just address the point.
Go ahead.
So that I hope he stays around so that we can have this engagement now. So first and foremost, you're not correct by saying that Supreme Court is the only court in Nigeria that can interpret the Constitution. That's not correct. The function of the judiciary generally, and when they say judiciary, it's not about Supreme Court only. Judiciary means all the judicial institutions in Nigeria, courts from Court of First Instance down to Supreme Court. So when I say court from Court of First Instance, now you mean High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, and then sometimes it attends to some inferior courts. They are all part of judiciary, and their function, the basic government in secondary school, is that they interpret the law. That's their function. So they interpret laws. And what are laws? Statutes, constitution, executive regulation, policies, and others. So that's the function of judiciary. Every court in Nigeria, as it varies, are vested with the power to interpret the constitution, interpret the laws, then apply it to the fact before them. However, the Supreme Court has the last say. Mark my word again. The Supreme Court has the last say. So if you do your interpretation at that level, then it moves up. Then they interpret, they can reverse what the court, for instance, do, then it moves up. If it gets to Supreme Court, Supreme Court has it. Whatever Supreme Court now says is final in terms of the interpretation of that provision. That's said. Now, you see, the Supreme Court, what they do now, if you now go to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is an appellate court, like I said, but Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. That means you cannot approach the Supreme Court just directly, but only in two areas. So not everybody can just approach Supreme Court directly. I don't know how it works in the US. Maybe in the US, citizens can go straight to Supreme Court for interpretation of constitution. It's not like that in Nigeria. You have to start from Court of First Instance. So the only areas where the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction is what you find in section 232 of the Constitution. That's chapter 1, part 1. And what you find there is dispute between federal and state governments, just like the local government autonomy thing now. You take it straight to Supreme Court because it's not a dispute that you can take under any court that resides in a particular state. It's between federal government and states. You take it straight there. Dispute between state and state, most times they are boundary disputes. Kogi fighting Edo on where their boundary ends, where their boundary moves. Bayelsa fighting Rivers, all those things. If it's between two states, they take it straight to Supreme Court. Apart from those two, the Supreme Court doesn't entertain court in its original jurisdiction at all. It must be something that has been interpreted by the lower court and are bringing it up. But that particular provision, the C part of provision now say the National Assembly also can make laws, okay, that will vest direct jurisdiction on the Supreme Court to enable the Supreme Court to entertain a case for the first time straight in their court. That is, National Assembly can decide to do that in any case. But just to let you know that Supreme Court in Nigeria is not the only court to entertain constitutional interpretation matters.
I gave you a long time to invoke other doctrines and principles of law, of which you are partly right, but mostly wrong, right? In the case of the Supreme Court, they're not restrained. They could actually issue writs on their own motion, such as what we call writ of certiorari, for example, right? They could reach down, pull up a case and forward it up to the Supreme Court themselves. They don't even have to wait for there to be appellant or whatever. But that's not what we're talking about. Now, everybody has an opinion. As a lawyer, you have an opinion. A judge in an inferior court, they have an opinion, but that's not what we're talking about. If you have litigants and they come into court, a judge will render an opinion. In most cases, of course, you know, the court is stratified, right? You have some courts that are appellate courts, they're higher than other courts, but they're not the Supreme Court. So normally, they're urged to follow precedents. You know, it might not be absolute, it might be discretionary on the part of those courts, I guess, depending on the jurisdiction. Here in the United States, they try to do that. But as far as you're talking about the jurisprudence, Western jurisprudence, when it comes to interpreting what the Constitution says, right? And you, of course, you have the Madison case, which gave even the United States courts the ability to have that judicial review with the Supreme Court. That's the only body here in the United States, for example, that interprets what the Constitution says and what it doesn't say. And by extension, they expanded that right to be able to say what the National Assembly could make a law, and that Supreme Court could say it's unconstitutional. Do you understand? That's a different role, judicial review. it's not extended to every little courtroom in the country. Because some may try that. Somebody's a judge, it's like a god in his courtroom, but it will be reversed instantly in most cases, because obviously it'll be wrong. I'm talking about the authority to do so, not what judges, unelected judges that try to extend their role, right? The unelected, especially here, they do that a lot too. But I'm trying to tell you that the judge, now you started off telling me other things, that's not what we're talking about, but you also got that wrong. The courts there are all kinds of writs that a Supreme Court could issue. It's seldom done, but they have the power to do so. You got the writ of certiorari, like I said. You got writs of mandamus that they can use to force government or civil servants or some authorities to do what they have to do. We know that we all, the laws that are made by Congress, say here in the United States, and the ones that are made by National Assembly, it's not what governs a country in the Western jurisprudence. It's actually common law, stare decisis, precedent, and it's very important. But the main debate that you and I were supposed to have the other night, I'll conclude with this. I think we're going on too long on this. The main debate we're having is the one of our section 138 of our Constitution. There's no need to go into anything else. The point I'm making is that it stands. There's been no ruling that affects it. The case you cite to advance your case and the one you cite to advance mine have nothing to do whatsoever. In the one case, in your case, there's a local standard issue. In essence, it's that decision was made without prejudice. Basically says, look, you don't have standing to challenge this. And you have a lot of crookedness in Nigeria, and you have that kind of court. You're looking at the language, a clear language on that section 138, which prohibits the president from taking some kind of cabinet post to be Minister of Oil. It's crookedness. So basically, so why is this so important to me? Why have I been searching for you, and I found you here, and I come in here and I'm interrupting the police to say to you that your role, right? And I say this with respect.
Thank you, Pansa.
Yeah.
You see, yeah, I understand you. The area I don't understand is the area of divergence. We don't have any divergence. You came on platform to say that Tinubu shouldn't be the Minister of Petroleum Resources because of Section 138. I simply went into the law to tell you what judicial stance decision is on the position you raised. And I told you about two cases. I told you of one that was struck. I told you of the second one that made pronouncement, which is the same thing in the position you're maintaining on Section 138. That decision is not irrelevant. It's relevant to the position you have made, and it supports your position, but it's a declaratory order. So there is no positive order made to compel the president. It was a declaratory order which, if the president wants to act lawfully, which all presidents should act lawfully, they should follow that and should not be the same as Minister of Petroleum Resources. Then I expressed my own opinion. I expressed my own opinion based on Section 5 and 9, and I didn't stop at 138. And I said the Constitution is organic. You can't pick and choose, pick just one section without looking at the other section. And I said Section 5, 9(1)(a) vests in the president to appoint. So it's the prerogative of the president to appoint ministers, and he can either discharge the duty on its own or appoint.
Yeah, I looked at that too. You talked about that. It has zero to do with that.
So I'm coming.
Can you hear me?
So yeah, I can hear you. So I'm still making my case. Okay. Yeah, let me read the session to you. I just opened the session now. This is what the session says. It says, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the executive powers of the Federation. Okay, is it? Yeah. Shall be vested in the president.
You cite what you're reading for me. What are you reading? Cite the particular Constitution. What 5 what?
1999 Constitution is what I'm reading.
Section 5 and what? Just cite it the way you normally see it.
I'm reading section 9.
Section 9 or section 5?
Section 9 is what I'm reading. Section
Okay.
9.1.
Did you mention section 5 the other day in my absence? Was
I
this
can't
section
remember.
5? Okay, so 9, what are you citing 9? What is section 9 what?
9.
The entire 9?
Section 9.1.
9.1, okay. National Assembly may subject to the provision of this section alter any of the provisions of this constitution, right? An act of the National Assembly. Hold on now. If either you give me the exact citation, or I'm gonna read the whole thing. Are you saying 9 what? You want 9?
Don't read. When you are done, let me know, please.
No, just tell me. Cite what do you wanna? What do you?
Section 9.1a is what I want you to read. Section 9.1a.
There is no 9.1a. That's section 9.1, and then there's 9.2.
That's section 9.1 sub a.
Which there's no such thing.
Yeah, let me read it.
1999. 1999. There's no section 9.1a. There's section 9.1.
Okay, read what is in your section 9.1.
The National Assembly may, subject to the provision of this section, alter any of the provisions of this constitution. Then it goes to 2.
What is in 2?
An act of the National Assembly for the alteration of this constitution, not being an act to which section 8 of this constitution applies, shall not be passed. All right, section 9, right? Or are you talking about section 5?
Section 9. What is in your 5?
Well, in section 5, subject 1, subject to the provisions of this constitution, the executive powers of the federation.
That's section. That should be 9.
No, that's section 5.
That's section. Is that section 5.1?
Yeah, 5.1a.
That's what I want you to read. Is 9.
That's what you talked about. That's what you talked about the day. So that's okay.
Okay. That's what I talked about. Okay. So section 5.1. Section 5.1a.
Yeah.
So read section 5.1.
Okay.
Let's analyze it.
Okay, I'll start from 1 because so subject to the provisions of this constitution, the executive powers of the federation shall be vested in the president and may subject as aforesaid and to the provisions of any law made by the National Assembly be exercised by him either directly or through the vice president and minister of the government of the federation or officers of the public service of the federation.
Okay.
And
so now,
yeah.
Okay, so now this is my reasoning on that provision. That provision says that provision vests the executive powers in the president and said, Mr. President, you can exercise all the executive powers in Nigeria. You can exercise either directly, that's by yourself. You can decide not to exercise it through anybody and just be the same one in everywhere doing this, including activities in Petroleum Resources Department, which is executive position. But you can also choose. You can also choose to exercise it through your vice. Let me finish my interpretation now. No, when I finish my interpretation, you join you. So the constitution said you can exercise all this power directly, that's by yourself, or at your discretion. You can choose to exercise it through the vice president. That means you can delegate one of the ministry or your disinfect. Or
hold on.
What I'm saying is, let me land on it now.
Just listen to what I'm saying.
Let me land on it now.
What are you? There's nothing. There's no.
It's not my flow of thought now.
That I'm stipulating to what you're reading. That's what I'm saying. Just there's no need to read
that. No, let me end my flow of thought now. This is not how to argue in court. Right. You allow somebody to end the flow of thought.
That's okay.
You can either do it yourself, or you do it through your vice president, or if you choose, you do it through the minister that you have appointed. So, and my point is that a president may decide to do it directly. If he does it directly, it's not against Section 5.1a. So you can now talk.
Okay, that's what I'm saying is that I was stipulating that what you're reading, the president has it's a vested power to the president, right? The way the Constitution works is that every single power anybody has in that country is delineated by that Constitution. And then whatever power is not delineated news to the people. Now you're reading that stuff, but it doesn't contradict 138, which says the president shall not, during his tenure, now this is prohibiting the president, tell him what he cannot do, during his tenure in office, hold any other executive office or paid employment in any capacity whatsoever. So you are extrapolating over there in this section 5. Nothing, it has nothing to do with what we're doing, what we're talking about. That is a known power that the president had. Even if it's given
can
to
I talk?
him. No, just 1 second. What I mean, I don't, we're not having a debate. I'm saying that if the Constitution,
it's an engagement now. If we are not having an engagement,
it's fascinating. Yeah, it's I'm curious. It's fascinating and all that, but it has to be one that is done with grace. You have to think about our country. You cannot come here just to argue, especially when what you want is what the Constitution is giving us. The Constitution is saying these guys should not make themselves minister of oil. That has to be what you want. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's more important to me. You see me on these platforms. That's basically what it is. I want us to uphold the truth. I want us to do the right thing. You can't do it any other way. You cannot be arguing for these rogues. You come into office, look at how awesome the power of the presidency is. And then instead of you doing your job, because military thugs such as Obasanjo and Buhari went and grabbed that stuff, we have to end that. It's not necessary. These people work for them. If you're a minister, for example, here's a practical way that you know that it's not supposed to be that way. If you're going to appoint a cabinet, once you name a minister, that person has to be vetted by the Senate. They have to have advice and consent. Even if you're appointing yourself, let's just say what you're saying is proper and that Tinubu has to become the Minister of Oil, Petroleum, then he has to subject himself to being vetted by the Senate, because that's what the Constitution says. They have to have the advice and consent of the Senate in order for any of those people to become a minister. He never vetted himself and be consented to, because he might show up there and they're going to reject him to be a minister of oil. Even if he had that power, he doesn't have that power. It's absurd. It's bizarre. So I'm reading where he's prohibited from doing so, but you're reading something that gives him room to argue. But as symbolic as our Constitution is, at least in this case, there's no lacuna. It tackles it in 138. So even if you're reading into meaning at the intentions of the framers of the Constitution, fortunately for us this time, there is a prohibitive clause to show what the intent was, no matter what you're reading in that section 5. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So unfortunately, as I'm trying to craft a relationship with you where you're going to have to play a good role, I have to be condescending on this particular point. So that's it.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Is it to start with, by virtue of my training as a lawyer, I'm not trained to be friend with anybody. I'm only trained to be friendly with my law. I don't hold anybody responsibility to take any of my opinion. It's comfortable. I'm not supposed to be comfortable with my opinion. I've sworn an oath during my call to bar only to interpret the law the way it is, even if heavens falls. So that is to start with. Now, secondly, see what we do with law. Sometimes when people come and be talking about it's truth, everything must be truth, I just laugh. If you really have legal training, you understand that truth belongs to the realm of divinity and the celestial area. What we do in law, we do with facts. Truth is not human. Facts is what is human. And that is what law deals with, really, not the truth. So when you now come, and don't forget sometimes, truth could even be subjective. When you are saying, and that's why these days say, my truth, let me say my truth. It's just your truth. because you're looking from it from your own perspective. Everybody look at the reason why you see people going to court is that I look at something from my perspective. You look at it from your perspective. You have a judge there who would make a decision, even still based on his own perspective. Okay, now let me go back now to the law again. I know it is very possible that you are just seeing this section 5.1 here for the first time. You've been canvassing on 138. I draw your attention to this section 1.1. Now, what's this section? Let me join section 138 and section 5.1 here together, and you see the way they harmonize. There's harmony between the two. There's nothing contradicting each other between the two. What is 138 simply telling you? I'll read it out first. Right, 138 says the president shall not, during his tenure of office, hold any other executive office or paid employment in any capacity whatsoever. He said you must not hold executive office. So there must be an office.
You hold on. Let me ask you a question right there. Is the Minister of Oil an executive office?
It is. It is an executive office.
Okay,
it is an executive. Okay, so let me go.
Please, so I'm not gonna be here forever, and the others want to speak. So I don't know. Just go to your point.
I will also soon go, sir. I have a lecture by 1 hour. Soon go.
All right. So, and I also want to address the issue about the true and false and the facts that you said, and then we can end it right there because I disagree with you vehemently on that point. But go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. So that is it. So when you look at it, then he must not hold an executive office. There must be an office. They must have passed that office, and then he must not hold that office. Meaning that you mustn't say you are the president at the same time you are Minister of Petroleum Resources, but you can exercise. But it doesn't affect your executive powers. Executive power is not about office; they are powers. You have your legislative powers, you have judicial power, and you have executive powers. Now, what is executive powers? Executive powers enable you to do a lot of things: signing contracts. You're making policies, you're making regulations, you're enforcing policies, you are doing meetings, you're strategizing on state matters, you're passing resolution, industrial turnaround, all these things you see them doing, traveling everywhere to represent the country in all industries, including petroleum resources area and everything. They are all executive powers. So what section 5.1 here says is this: look, you can exercise all these executive power in all the sectors of the economy in the country, and you can as well delegate it to your vice president, and you can delegate to your ministers. Now, what do you mean by ministers? If you go to provision that establish the office of minister, is the president also that would appoint and carve out what ministry? So my understanding of the two put together is this: look, Mr. President, once you create an office called Ministry of Petroleum Resources, which becomes an office, you cannot hold or occupy that office. You must appoint a minister to that particular office, or you may choose to appoint, but you must not hold that office, okay, as a minister. Now, in most cases, what do you see the president? You won't see them writing Bola Ahmed. What's that? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but go ahead and round up. No, the host of the show is playing around on the phone, but go ahead.
Okay, so this is my understanding of the two together.
I think that is a stipulation. I think you agree with what I'm saying. If you're saying he can't.
I agree with your position since 2 days ago, and I started a judicial case that supports it. I don't know where your opposition is now coming from. Maybe it's because of Benny that is expressing that opinion. Ogbenin is your major. So that's my. So if he can't occupy, but so let me just land by saying that he cannot occupy that office, but he cannot occupy that office, but he can still exercise his executive power, which extend to petroleum resources. He may decide not to appoint minister there, but you won't see them writing Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Federal Republic of Nigeria, Minister of Petroleum Resources. You won't see it anywhere.
Well, I posted it. I can also post it now. Let me show you from Wikipedia. That's his post in the Wikipedia. Let's say Nigeria.
Wikipedia.
Stop
citing Wikipedia. Anybody write with, in academics we don't relate with Wikipedia. Everybody edit. Everybody write Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not an official resource. Go to federal government website and see how your president is described there, did they put him as Minister of Petroleum Resources? That should be what should be matter to you, not to
okay. All right, I'll leave that. I'll leave that. I will leave that. That's not important. But what I'm saying is that he has the power to appoint, but in the case of a minister, there is a third thing that must be done independent of him, which is advice and consent of the Senate. They have to be approved. You saw that El-Rufai was not, he appointed El-Rufai for something, and the Senate rejected him. So it could also apply in the case of Minister of Petroleum or Oil. It could be rejected, even though he's president, because that's an exclusive power of the legislative to advise and consent. But anyway, I'm so happy that at least you consent with the idea, you stipulated the idea that the president cannot be the Minister of Petroleum, period. Now, there was something else you were saying. Oh yeah, you said something about the truth. Just because you're a lawyer, that you only deal with facts, you don't do with true or false. Well, that's not true, right? Veracity is very important, even in a courtroom. If you come to testify, you have to testify truthfully. So truthfulness, it's a very important aspect. You have to be sincere. There has to be candor. You have to be honest when you're dealing with the courts, right? Accuracy is measured. Be right. Have a correctness, validity. Now, truthfulness comes in many forms. Now, I wasn't even using it in the noun sense, like you're talking about there. What I'm saying to you when it comes to true or false, it's unavoidable. It's not, I think you even made the mistake of saying that my truth can be mine and yours, you have your own truth. There's nothing like that. There are universal truths. For example, the speed of light, the vacuum, how far the sun is from here, laws of thermodynamics. There are so many things that are laws, they're truths, period. But in the colloquial sense, true and false is the only thing we have to, if we're ever going to catch Yibo in whatever they're doing, we have to embrace true or false. That society has to operate with true or false. Else we're not going anywhere. You can't invent anything. You know, for example, the simplest example I normally use is one of language, computer language, right? In most of them, it's a binary, 0 or 1. That's it. There's no 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. There's true or false. Something is existing, 1. If it doesn't exist at all, 0. With that, you could build supercomputers. You could do all kinds of things. And you know this already. And no matter what it is that you are quoting, I don't know where you went to law school or whatever it is, do not make the statement that truth is relative. No. Somebody may be entitled to their opinion. That's true. Even that's true. That's true or false in that statement. That's how pervasive it is. But you're not entitled to your own facts, even. Not only you're not entitled to your own facts, but nobody touches true or false and tries to denigrate the truth. You have to hear your language by doing so. But anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity to engage you here in a more civil manner. We normally don't even get it.
Let me just show one thing before I go, because I was going to go now. Which is it this truth or fact? I don't know how much philosophy you did in epistemology and cosmology in your undergraduate days, and probably postgraduate too. You have a very deeper understanding of this truth and fact thing. I remember one of the examples I always give my students is this fighting flat earth theory. When some philosophers or some astronomers came and said the world is flat, and the entire world thought that was the truth for a very long time. And today, did we still stick to that truth? No, in humanity, no, we didn't. Because we thought it was truth. In fact, back then, if you say anything otherwise, they can behead you because you're arguing against the fact that the world was flat. But today, what we are all living with now is law is spherical, right? It's no longer flat, unlike what they said back then, that the head is a flat immovable disc, centered at the North Pole with Antarctica and all these things. But we changed all those things now, and it's very cool. And that's what we think is the truth now, right? And I'm just speaking to that your sense of speed of light and all these things. All these things keep changing because the only person that knows the truth is God, and that's the only person that. So once you start talking about truth, God, and you're going to divinity, you're going to the celestial realm and all those realms, which what law simply wants to get is, what are the facts, which you call truth, but in the human in our own limited way to find what truth is. But eventually, for me, jurisprudentially, I still see it as facts because they are fact finding. That's what you do in court. You do fact finding and you arrive at the conclusion, okay, I believe this, I don't believe this person. Eventually, the person you say you believe may not even be the one that shouldn't even believe. So that was my conclusion. I sign off now. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, too. I'm signing off. Thank you.
Yo, Dusty, are you there?
Yes. Go on.
Yeah, I think Pansat ran away. Yeah, he couldn't handle everything. He had to run. But yeah, you guys, are you still talking, or should I end the stream?
Hello. Is two Nigerians there? I think they are sleeping or something.